Given the concerns you've expressed about censorship and interference with free speech, I wonder how you view the laws in Florida and other states that restrict what professors can teach about racism in the classroom. I mean, obviously you disagree with the doctrines you teach, but why, would you extend to them the same right to free speech that you advocate for everybody else?
No, I mean, it's a matter of curriculum, right? So I would ask a question, should we teach the flat earth theory? Should we teach bloodletting in biology? Or should we teach eugenics in ethics? No, there's some ideas that are so reprehensible and provably wrong, they shouldn't be in anywhere close to an academic environment. Now, a professor obviously has the freedom of speech to say what he or she wants individually, but from a curriculum standpoint, from what you're able to measure or test, to say that all of a sudden we're going to teach that race matters, that somehow that people are suffering from a pandemic of whiteness, as Coca-Cola would say, or just critical theory or critical race theory, no, that has no place in an educational environment. Advocating for black-only dormitories is a moral equivalent of bloodletting, lobotomies, and flat earth theory. I think it's evil, it's wrong, and has no place in American education. Like, how is America racist?
All right. Are you familiar at all with the concept of structural racism?
Yeah, it's a myth.
If you were to try to write a curriculum that covers, slavery in the U.S. or the, Holocaust or whatever, and not give the narrative that this group did this horrible thing to the other group, you're going to have to rely on some pretty...
But it wasn't groups, though. That's incorrect. Not every white person was a slave owner.
Well, that doesn't matter, though, because,
9 out of 13 states abolished slavery by the time of constitutional
and here's the other
ratification.
thing. I mean,
it's not like every white person was supportive. In fact, we had abolitionists at the time of the founding.
Exactly.
So why would you say one group? One group doing something to the other? Like, that's just not true.
Right.
9 states abolished it. Thomas Jefferson wrote in the original draft of the Declaration to King George, admonishing him for bringing slavery. The first ever anti-slavery convention was in Philadelphia, chaired by Benjamin Franklin in 1775. Thomas Jefferson got rid of the importation of new slaves in 1807. Guess what?
Yeah.
None of that stuff's taught in our schools right now.
Despite me being a conservative, I do happen to be pro-choice. How do you feel on the matter, and where as a nation we can come together to agree on something sensible?
Sure. Well, I'll just ask you, when do you think human life begins?
Me personally, when I feel like it begins with the heartbeat, sir.
Okay, so you would a 6-week ban is okay then?
I'm pro-choice with exceptions.
So just to play it out, that would be a termination of human life, right?
Correct.
Right. So why do we have murder laws then?
You ask, why do we have murder laws?
Yeah, because that'd be murdering a kid, right? If it's a human life, by your own estimation.
Correct. You stumped me there. I'm not gonna lie, you did stump me there. I contradict myself where I stand with the matter. That's why I'm asking more or less what's your take on it.
Yeah. So my take is this: life begins at conception, and when life is formed in the womb, and deoxyribonucleic acid is created, a new being comes into formation. And that being is still growing, it's still on its process, but we as human beings tend to have size, level of development, environmental, and degree of dependency privilege. We think just because we're bigger and stronger and no longer in a womb, we have a moral right to do whatever we want to those that are still in the womb. And the toughest questions are the ones when we ask, what does it have to do with me, and is it worthy of protecting those that can't protect themselves? And just because the being is small, just because the being is in a womb, doesn't mean that we have a moral right to obliterate it.
All right, so abortion seems to be like a big topic these days, and I was actually at your booth earlier, I was just listening in, and that was a big topic there too. And so I guess I just had a question about that, because at the booth, like, whenever someone was asking you, like, why are we valuing the fetus, it kept coming back to human life, and like, I didn't really understand what you meant by that, because when you say human life, human life by definition is an organism or a being that has human DNA, and so when the fetus only really has that connection with, like fully grown adults or just like born children, what entitles the fetus to violate the property rights of the mother over her own body, or to have the government do so on her behalf?
Does that baby have unique DNA?
Yeah.
So by your own definition, that should be worthy of protection, right?
No, I don't believe that DNA has moral value. Just
okay, got it. So when does human life begin?
Well, human life, I guess, if you say like an organism that is human species, by definition begins at conception.
Right. So then my position is that being that begins at conception is worthy of constitutional rights and
But
protection.
why? What moral value does simply being an organism, even if it's just a single-celled organism,
Yeah.
that has human DNA, what moral value?
Right,
comes from
because
that?
human beings are different. Human beings have the ability to have rational speech, to reason, not just consciousness, not just the ability to feel. Human beings are the only species that can not just feel pain and pleasure, but can tell the just from the unjust. Human beings are something that is so beautiful and so special, and of course I have many different reasons to believe this, but I'll make a natural law argument, that that DNA will never exist again. It's distinct, and it is living. And if allowed uninterrupted growth, that human being will hopefully mature into something just like you have. And we're all abortion survivors, aren't we?